policy change?
Yes.
Well, Eugene,
yes.
for example,
yes.
one
oh
of
my
the things
God.
that
yes.
we have done that I am entirely supportive of is the pause that we've put on the, and so there is some leverage that we have had and used.
What?
But ultimately, the thing that is everything else in that region is getting this deal done.
Kamala's talking about right now. Shut the up, really?
For Israel to defend itself.
Yo, all right, we're going right into it. I'm blasting off.
Are at odds with what Benjamin Netanyahu has said is their right to defense. If it matters, as you say, how Israel defends itself, where do you see the line between aggression and defense and our power as Israel's ally?
That's such a good question.
To do something.
Uh-oh.
Okay, a lot to unpack in what you just said. So let's start with this. I absolutely believe that this war has to end, and it has to end as soon as possible. And the way that will be achieved is by getting a hostage deal and a ceasefire deal done. And we are working around the clock to achieve that end. Stepping back, October 7, 1,200 Israelis were slaughtered, and actually, and some Americans, by the way, in that number, slaughtered. Young people who were attending a concert, women were horribly raped. And yes, so I have said, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And,
but Madam Vice President,
let me
I think
finish.
my ask is the
No,
difference between
finish.
aggression and
No,
defense.
it's important to put it in context.
Yeah,
what
what is
I'm
going
doing, and I'll
on?
get to that.
Dude, ABC's been correct on this, bro. ABC is kind of out of control.
Far too
That's the
many
ABC woman, right?
Palestinians have been
Push her.
Women and children.
Get her ass.
We have
oh my God.
seen
Oh
with
my God.
horror the images
Oh my
coming out
God.
of Gaza.
David Muir
And we
and
have
the
to
entire
take that
cast of ABC
serious.
journalists, I will kiss all
And
of
we
you
have
in the
to
mouth.
agree that not only must we end this war, but we have to have a goal of a two-state solution, because there must
Bro, she just
be
keeps repeating the same
stability and
line.
peace in that
I'm losing
region.
my mind.
In as much as what we do in our goal is to ensure that Israelis have security and
Bro,
Palestinians
she's such a
in
bot.
equal measure.
She's such a
Security,
robot, dude.
Have self-determination and dignity.
This is
A
literally
question for
like
you on that, though.
Joe
What levers
Biden
does
level
the US
dementia.
have to support Palestinians in their right to self-determination? And is it even possible as Israel's ally?
Well, absolutely. I will tell you, I have been actively involved in, for example, meeting not only with
I'm not
Israeli
gonna
officials,
use
but
this
with
one
Arab
yet.
officials
Hold on.
to talk about how we can construct a day after scenario where we participate in ensuring those exact goals that I outlined, including as part of the principles that should be applied to those goals, that there be no reoccupation of, that there be no changing of the territorial lines, that there be an ability to have security in the region for all concerned in a way that we create stability, and let us also recognize in a way that ensures that Iran is not empowered in this whole scenario in terms of the peace and stability of the region.
This is ass.
But absolutely, the United States of America absolutely has a role, which is why we have been active, in particular with the Qataris and the Egyptians, around attempting to
oh my gosh, she's so bad at this.
And get it done as quickly as possible.
She's so bad at this.
To follow up really quickly,
Bot!
Is there a specific policy change that you, as President of the United States, would say you would do that would
Here,
help
we're
this
blasting
along? 'Cause,
off.
you've
Let the
gotten a
people
lot of
know.
credit for emphasizing the humanity of Palestinians. But what I often hear from folks is that there's no policy change that either you or President Biden have gone and said they would do. Is there a specific policy change as president that you would do in our helping of Israel?
We need to get this deal done, and we need to get it done immediately, and that is my position, and that is my policy. We need to get this deal done.
But in the way that we send, in the way that we interact as their ally,
yes.
are there specific policy changes?
Yes.
Well, Eugene,
yes.
for example,
yes.
one
oh
of
my
the things
God.
that
yes.
we have done that I am entirely supportive of is the pause that we've put on the, and so there is some leverage that we have had and used.
What?
But ultimately, the thing that is everything else in that region is getting this deal done. And I'm not going to disclose private conversations, but I will tell you, I've had direct conversations with the Prime Minister, with the President of Israel, with Egyptian leaders, and with our allies. And I think we've made ourselves very clear this deal needs to get done in the best interest of everyone in the region, including getting those hostages out who, I mean, we saw the latest example of what happened with the six most recently, one of whom was an American citizen.
But what do you say to those that say that's not enough, that stopping the 2,000 pounds the one time wasn't enough, that this administration, your possible administration, has to do more?
Well, we are doing the work of putting the pressure on all parties involved to get the deal done. But let me be very clear also.
Israel has a right to defend itself.
I support Israel's ability to defend itself.
Yeah, called it.
I support the need for Palestinians to have dignity, self-determination, and security as we move forward and get a two-state deal done. But right now, the thing we need to get done is this hostage deal and this ceasefire deal. We need a ceasefire. We need the hostage deal.
I want to switch gears to racial justice, Madam Vice President. Last month, you eulogized Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee.
Yeah.
Jackson Lee's signature bill, one of a few, was H.R. 40, which would create a commission
to
study the history of U.S. slavery and study the issue of reparations. She introduced H.R. 40 every session of Congress, taking up the mantle from Congressman John Conyers. This is a bill that you have co-sponsored as a U.S. Senator. Yet, this has, despite the fact that this has been, similar commissions have been created on the state level and on the local level, is yet to pass in Congress, let alone come out of committee. Congresswoman Jackson Lee, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, and other advocates have called for President Biden to take executive action to create this commission. Would you, as president, take executive action to create this commission, or do you believe that it should happen in Congress?
Well, first of all, as you mentioned, Sheila Jackson Lee, she was an extraordinary leader who we just recently lost, and she was a friend and a real champion for so many issues. So I feel compelled to say that about her. On the issue of what we need to do.
I'm telling you, I've had multiple people who know better than me that she's gagged by the state at the moment. No,
some people who try
no, she's a bot, dude.
And try and
no
teach
way,
our children otherwise.
No way. She just repeats the same over and over again. And she wanted to be like, pause on. We did that once.
Our history?
No way.
In terms of the generational impact of slavery, the generational impact of redlining, of Jim Crow law. I could go on and on and on. These are facts that have had impact, and we need to speak truth about it.
She's like off script. She's ass, by the way, straight up.
And frankly, I think that we, and part of that is studying it to figure out exactly what we need to do. But part of what we can do right
alarming
now is,
how bad
for example,
she is
what I'm
off
talking
script
about in terms of building an opportunity economy, which is addressing explicitly the obstacles.
No, it's not ABC. It's not. I thought it was the ABC journalist, but Eugene Daniels is the goat that was like pushing. And Tanya Mosley asked some pretty good questions too.
What we need to do,
but I think it was Eugene Daniels that pushed it, right?
I have championed for years, black maternal mortality, which is the fact that black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die in connection with childbirth than other women. And we know that the reasons for that include disparities that pre-exist her pregnancy.
I'm not going to lie, I never thought someone from the Y Network and Politico would be the most adversarial questions that this administration has faced thus far on Israel. It's literally like Joe Biden doing a complex interview and then getting questions about like, not even complex, because like Politico is obviously a very serious like institution. It's just they're very right wing, which is why it's shocking to me that a Politico journalist did that.
And I think that was part of the spirit behind the congressional action thus far, to ensure that everyone can participate in this conversation in a way that elevates,
why is the affiliate, right? Like I think
about history
For a second, I thought Y was OWN, but I think Y Philadelphia is the
this conversation.
public media for Pennsylvania,
again,
Delaware,
when
New
people are
Jersey.
trying
Like,
to
that's
deny
not a joke.
history.
That's like,
When
that's
people
that's public
are,
radio.
so-called leaders
That's solid.
are saying that
So
enslaved
that's
people
not
benefited from
surprising that it's
slavery.
Tanya
I mean,
Mosley
let's
was
talk
the one
about
who
the
was like
Delta here in
asking
terms
those
of the work that needs to be
those
done.
questions. But like,
profound.
Politico is pretty right wing, you
I
know.
want to move to Springfield, Ohio, and what's
Since
happening
when are
there.
they right
We
wing?
see
Not my
school
experience.
closures,
Actually
parents
curious.
worried about their kids
Fuck you,
leaving
me.
the home because of conspiracy theories that I
Yes.
won't repeat
Yes.
here, but they have been repeated by leaders on the Republican side, President Trump, former President Trump, and Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance. From your perspective, is this just a case of irredeemable that can't be mitigated by any rational action, or is this a situation in which a federal response could help this community heal? There's a question of resources and...
Well, no, I'll let you finish, and then I'll speak.
No, please.
It's a crying shame. I mean,
Say
my
it.
heart breaks.
Say you're the daughter of immigrants.
for the
Say
school.
immigrants are the backbone of this country. Please
You know,
say
there were,
anything. Please.
Children, elementary school children, who it was.
Bro, this dude
It
is
was
cooking, by the way.
school photo
They both
day.
are. Eugene and Tanya, you are my
You remember what
goats.
that's like? Going to school on picture day,
Oh, he follows me.
who were dressed up in their best, got all ready,
I'm gonna
knew
DM
what
him
they were
right
gonna
now.
wear the night before, and had to be evacuated. Children, a whole community put in fear. And I'll say a couple things about it. One, you know, I learned a long time ago in my career, having
I
a
just
background
DM'd him to
as a
say thank you.
prosecutor.
That's it. That's all I said.
When you have these positions, when you have that kind of microphone in front of you, you really ought to understand at a very deep level how much your words have meaning. I learned at a very young stage of my career that the meaning of my words could impact whether somebody was free or in prison. As Attorney General, I was of California, fifth largest economy in the world. I was acutely aware that my words could move markets. When you
This is the most boring way to tackle the
bestowed
subject
with a
matter. Okay,
microphone that
notes
is
on
that
this.
big,
This is so boring. Just
There is
say
a
this is a
profound
goddamn
responsibility that
pogrom,
comes with
okay? They are doing blood
It is an
libel.
extension of
Please
not
just
be lost
say
in this moment,
they're
this
being
concept of the
ridiculous.
public
They're being
trust.
weird. They are trying to invoke hate.
then
They want you to hate your
understand
neighbors.
what the public trust means. It means that you have been invested with trust.
And then flip
be
it back to
responsible in the way you
remember the past. A lot of people forgot what it felt like in your heart to live under the Trump administration.
And then seek to
We
be
still
again
obviously
president of the United States of America.
don't like Trump. A lot of Americans don't like Trump. But people forgot
And so I go
how
back to it's a
frustrating
climate
it was
change,
for millions of
What's happening
people
to those families,
with
those
no
children,
sense of reality
community,
to
not
feel
to
so
mention
emboldened in this way.
what is happening in terms of, look, you say you care about law enforcement resources being put into this because of these serious
That's the
threats
worst
that are being
angle.
issued
Who
against
gives a about cops, man? Oh my God.
living a productive, good
These
life
are
before this
people.
happened.
They're black
And
people too.
spewing
Like
lies
you're a black woman. You
that
are
are
the daughter of
grounded in
immigrants.
tropes
They are
that are
trying to incite a
age-old.
race riot
And look, I
against
said it not very
black
far from
immigrants.
here the other day at the
Please,
debate.
who gives a about the police resources?
This is not new. This is not new in terms of these tropes. This is not new in terms of where it's coming from. And, you know, whether it is refusing to rent to people,
This is a
rent to
free
black
question.
families,
This is literally
whether
free.
it is taking out a
Okay?
full-page ad
This
in
is
the
free.
New York Times against 5 innocent black and Latino teenagers, the Central Park 5, calling
What
for
are
their
you doing?
execution.
Oh my God, she's literally a bot,
Whether it
bro.
is
She is
referring to
actually
the
a
President
bot.
of the United States with a lie, birther lies, and
Go
look.
talk about the current. Talk
the
about the
American
current.
people
Talk about the
deserve-
current.
I do believe want better
Talk
than
about
this.
the current
I do
shit.
believe that. I know. The vast majority of us as Americans know we have so much more in common than what separates us. I know that.
She
I
cannot.
know.
She
that
cannot,
regardless
gun
of
to her
someone's
head,
race,
say
their
she wants to
gender, their
defend immigrants.
geographic location,
She can't.
I know
She
that
cannot.
people are
That's why
deeply
she's
troubled
talking about like,
by
oh,
what is
Trump is
happening to
being.
them
Remember when he
in
did the
Springfield?
Central Park 5 ad? That's from
And
like
it's gotta
1994, man. What the fuck are you
gotta
talking
say
about?
that you cannot be entrusted with standing
She
behind the seal
cannot
of the President of the
say
United
it.
States of America engaging in that hateful rhetoric that, as usual, is designed to divide us as a country.
Verbatim repeating debate lines and trying to fit them into this conversation, a dynamic conversation with journalists who are obviously very smart and very thoughtful. This is not going to fly.
To see through this nonsense and to say, you know what, let's turn the page on
For
this.
chatters who are saying like she's a fascist, she believes this. No, come on, bro. No, don't be deluded, okay? Again, she is not Hillary Clinton, okay? She is literally a black woman. Of course, she is not like straight up, genuinely a firm believer that like immigrants are causing like massive problems in this country. Are you insane? Her father and her mother are immigrants. What the? It doesn't matter that she was a prosecutor. Come on, dude. There are certain parts of your identity and your development that are so formative that like you're not gonna deny it. Like she's not Candace Owens, okay? Calm down. It is mind-boggling how cowardly she is on this issue, okay? That's what it is. This isn't like genuinely Kamala Harris is a firm believer that Haitians are eating cats. That's why she can't talk on it. No, she's a coward. That's why she won't talk on it. No, it's not. It's much more frustrating. I promise you it's much more frustrating. Okay? She's weakest on this issue because she's scared. Okay?
Are designed to a lot of human beings quickly.
Yeah, look at how decisive she is on this. Look at how decisive she is on assault. Okay? Look at she stands on business when it comes to that the Democratic Party as a machine have decided are our issues, and we are going to assume a position on this, and we're going to hammer it. Think about the difference in the energy between this and the last statement.
Before someone can buy a lethal, if they've been found by a court to be a danger to themselves or others.
I don't believe for a moment that she gives a fuck about Palestinians, okay? If you were to ask me, like, secretly behind closed doors, is she, like, super pro-Palestine and can't say it? No. I don't think she gives a single goddamn shred of a okay? But on the issue of migrants, like, bro, she's literally the product of migrants. There is 0% chance that she genuinely believes that, like, immigrants are doing. She doesn't believe it. She doesn't believe it, but she's too much of a coward to openly say it. Why? Because she saw the polls. She saw the polls where 60% of Americans want mass deportations, and she is terrified. And her handlers have told her never to make a single peep about this. Do not come across as though you're pro-immigrant. This is going to be the massive issue that the Republicans will clobber you on. Be as right-wing as possible on this issue. That is a mistake. That is a mistake that the Democratic Party has been repeating over and over and over and over again. These are lies, okay? The Republican Party is lying.
Each entry point in the issue.
Please talk about the Lebanon attacks. I'm going to literally explode my pager, okay? I'm going to go purchase a pager and up. We're going to obviously get to it, okay?
But prevention of crime. So you're raising a very important issue that has many facets, including what we need to do in terms of reasonable gun safety laws and what we need to do around crime prevention.
Also, the top of the hour ad break is about to explode in your face unless you subscribe.
Prosecuted homicide cases.
For $3, she doesn't seem to care about the polling. Yeah, there's a higher order there. There's a higher priority there, which is the State Department interest, which is obviously the interest of moneyed donors that are donating to the Democratic Party. The fact that she's terrified that the media will actually push back on her if she were to switch positions on like those are all things that she thinks will rock the boat. I am telling you those things would rock the boat in a positive direction, not in a negative direction, but it doesn't fucking matter. Okay?
It's real. It has had a profound impact in terms of trauma that for the most part
here's a 3-minute ad break now.
And untreated. The trauma that exists in communities.
I get what you're saying about her feelings on immigrants, but I bet she has very strong feelings on criminal immigrants. Nah.
Losing a father and uncle. All of that must be
every adult in this country that is invested in politics knows that it's a lie, that the idea that like migrants are doing an insane amount of crimes is a lie. They just know that anecdotes are very powerful and they can't deal with it. Okay? They can't deal with those anecdotes that are too good. They're too good for political messaging. Same happened with crime, dude. Same exact shit happened with crime.
With the president, we were able to pass the first meaningful gun safety legislation in 30 years. And part of what that involved was millions and millions of dollars to put more mental health counselors in public schools, right? Because we know that there is an aspect of this.
But do you think she's just scared until she's elected? No.
And dealing with it at its...
Chat, you need to understand something. Democrats don't legislate a more progressive agenda than they claimed when they're running. They do the exact opposite. Okay? They actually legislate in the opposite direction. They legislate to the middle and they still lose.
Resources into community-based intervention that is not just requiring on the good people in the community to volunteer to do the intervention, but actually paying people to do it because it's a full-time job. It's about understanding what we need to do to, again, understand that, to your point, we have to have a holistic response to this issue and prioritize it instead of reacting to the tragedy that, sadly, they are too predictable. Let's all agree, enough of that. There are very few solutions that we haven't thought of. We need to put the resources into them.
Madam Vice President, we want to move to the topic of reproductive access, something that you have worked and leading on both for the administration, Democrats, and now the top of the ticket. You've said that as president, you would want to codify Roe. If it came to your desk, you would sign a bill that did that. Roe protected access until fetal viability, which it also says is, quote, at about 7 months, but may occur earlier, even at 24 weeks. So do you similarly support also codifying Roe's restrictions, which allowed states to ban abortion in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy unless necessary to save the mother's life?
We need to put the protections of Roe v. Wade back into law. And when that bill gets passed by Congress, I will proudly sign it into law. Understand what is happening in our country. Over 20 states have passed what I call Trump abortion bans because I understand how we got here. The former president handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. They did as he intended, and in state after state, laws have been passed criminalizing healthcare providers. I don't know if anyone here has heard most recently the stories out of Georgia. Tragic story about a young woman who died because it appears the people who should have given her health care were afraid they'd be criminalized after the Dobbs decision came down. Laws that make no exception even for rape or incest, which means that you're telling a survivor of a crime of a violation to their body that they have no right to make a decision about what happens to their body next, which is immoral. An approach that doesn't take into account that most people, I think, agree you don't have to abandon your faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. If she chooses, she will talk with her pastor, her priest, her rabbi, her imam, but it should not be the government or Donald Trump telling her what to do about her own body and her life. So that's where I stand. We need to put back in place the protection of Roe v. Wade and put that into law.
And those restrictions that are also in
We need to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade and let an individual, in consultation with her doctor, make the decision based on what she can determine, because she's smart enough to know what's in her best interest instead of having her government tell her what to do, especially a bunch of people in these state capitals who think they're in a better position to tell her what to do than she is to know what's in her best interest.
Before we conclude, Madam Vice President, Joyful Warrior has been used to describe your campaign.
You didn't see that just a minute ago, though. Okay, I'm back to my joyful part.
And your opponent and Republicans have at times weaponized you laughing in campaign ads, for example. Why is joy important to you to insert into this election? And what do you make of Republicans using that as a way to suggest that you're not a serious candidate?
Well, sometimes I think, and I'll say to whoever the young people are who are watching this, there are some times when your adversaries will try and turn your strength into a weakness. Don't you let them. Don't you let them. I find joy in the American people.
I get the haters, but there's no shot that you can expect Trump not to exponentially make everything worse in terms of foreign policy and women's rights. Man, I'm sick and tired of having this conversation every goddamn election cycle. A lot of you say, oh, we want to vote for the Democrats because at least they'll listen to you, when they're literally in the process of not listening to you. Okay? Shut the fuck up. Just say you want your team to win and you don't actually give a and you have no like ownership stake over what happens in this country, and you're just going to wake up one day and we're going to be doing not 99% Hitler, but 100% Hitler. And you're going to be like, how did this happen? Okay, that's it. I'm not having a conversation about harm reduction right now. Okay, yes, Trump will make things exponentially worse. I know he already is making things exponentially worse, and he's not even the president right now. What I demand from the counterbalance to that is an adequate defense against like racial animus that the Trump Republicans are running on right now.
You want to give us some intel?
Sure. I checked
like,
on to see if
dude, Biden is president. Like, we had 4 years of the Democratic establishment running the show, and that's when the abortion rights were taken away. Okay? How do you not see that, like, the machine is spinning in this direction where they are openly being like, listen, it's a big tent party, but you're not in it. Okay? You're not in the tent. What are you going to do? Not vote for us? Suck my... That's basically the opinion that the Democratic Party has in terms of, like, people who are just like, please fight back against this. What are you doing?
January 6th, your vehicle was allowed to kind of pass a viable pipe. We've seen...
No, I was in the building.
You were in the building.
I've never said that it wouldn't be good for Trump to lose, by the way. You are making a point that I've never made. I despise Donald Trump, okay? You are trying to actively make a point that I'm not making because you don't want to address the point that I am making. You're sidestepping the actual point and instead focusing on a thing that I never said. Okay? That's it. That's not what I'm talking about right now. Also, that's why I always reiterate to all the liberals in the chat, don't worry, Kamala Harris most likely is going to win anyway. Okay? Because the Trump campaign is objectively bad. Like, they're running a bad campaign. They are not doing a good job. Okay? They're doing a really bad job. Trump losing and conservatives being less would actually be really good for minorities. I'm sorry, but it's crazy to say it wouldn't be good for him to lose. It's idiotic. I never said that. Okay?
Lift people up and not beat people down so they feel alone and are made to feel small and made to feel like they're somehow not a part of it or us.
Madam Vice President, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
I've appreciated it. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyway, like the one here, I'll tell you this much. In terms of her like scared posture, listen, as a Hasan contracted RFK brainworm, what are you talking about? Very smart. You get it, Hasan. Hasan brain rot. As you say, you don't give a wow. Great point, man. Thanks. So true, Hasan. Great point. What is happening? Are you the one with the brain rot? All you were doing is just asking Democrats to be more proactive on progressive issues and appropriately combat talking points. I don't know how this is so hard for some chatters to understand, because American politics, unfortunately, okay, the reality is American politics is ultimately a game of team sportsmanship. There is no real like material change happening. The only thing you can hope is the expectation that like you maybe push the actual pain 4 years down the line. Okay, that's it. So the people that are hyper focused on politics are almost always going to talk about like the minor differences in between either party, because it's just ultimately powerless. Like, you're not not a single person in this chat is voting for Kamala Harris because they think that like the $50,000 in tax cuts that she will offer to startups is phenomenal. And that's like what their expectation is. They're not doing that. They're not voting for Kamala Harris for that reason. They are voting against Donald Trump. They are voting against the Republican Party. Okay? This puts the Democratic Party on unstable ground. Okay? You cannot always run against the Republicans. You have to run for things if you want to win decisively. Every single conversation that we have in terms of me being so frustrated about Kamala Harris being, a serial underperformer, or being legitimately, genuinely bad on certain issues, is at the behest of the Democratic Party launching a convincing program, okay? Launching a convincing narrative against the Republicans, And it's not necessarily just that I want them to do this, because there is also a positive for the Democrats in terms of the election. Okay. These are legitimately popular ideas. Okay. But beyond that, they're also good. They're good for the people. Even if they weren't popular, I want them to have a little bit of backbone. But I don't even have to make that case, because these are popular ideas. Criticizing harm reduction for being one long conservative ultimatum doesn't equal I want gays to die. I know.